Yo, what's up? Just sneaking in a bit of time to stream in between. I hope you're doing alright. Hope you have an actual weekend to enjoy and all that. And hope you've got something to ask or talk about, because my mind is kind of blank at the moment. But I'm pretty sure we can remedy that. So we'll just hang out a bit, see how it goes. See what everybody is up to. 2 a.m. stream. Huh. Where are you? Are you over in Asia? Because that's a lot later than the local time here. Just wanted to say that was a great sword video. I see what you did there. Normally I don't stream on the same day that I upload, but I haven't been able to do any kind of streaming during the week because past 2 weeks have been insane. Just ton of work in those videos, and tomorrow I may or may not be, probably might not be able to stream. I don't know yet. So here we are. Alrighty. Just finished watching the great sword videos. Somebody has already made that joke. Let's see some beautiful nature and just chill, man. Yeah, we can do that. I certainly have some options. Let's see. How about how about that? Maybe not transparent, but how about this? Isn't that nice? Sure is nice. You can't see me, but who cares? Who cares when you can look at the ocean? Right, the ocean's way prettier than I am. Maybe I can shove it over here. Sometimes you just gotta shove it somewhere, you know? It's just how it is. Right, we actually have more rocks. Keep resizing. No. More resizing. That'll do. How's that? Currently sitting in my chair waiting for my second vaccine shot. Nice. I got mine about 2 weeks ago. Hopefully it won't knock you down quite as much as it did me. Like I was pretty messed up for 2 days. I mean, nothing too terrible, but basically like, you know, achy joints and tired and stuff like that. I probably shouldn't tell you that now, right before you're getting the shot, but yeah. Everybody reacts a bit differently. You might be doing better. Just finished watching Castlevania. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10? Heresy. Come on. It's like an 10.5 out of 10. Like it's at the very least a 9.5 out of 10. I would honestly say 10 out of 10, but to each their own opinions, even if they're wrong. I had no effects from the shot aside from a sore arm. Guessing that's the first. I mean, if that was the case for both, then you're lucky. Because for the first one, I also didn't have much. Second one, a little bit more of a truck. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate the super chat. How's your day going? Thanks for uploading that video on giant swords. The Odachi that have the Odachi that I have is kind of a hassle. I can't imagine owning one any bigger than I already have. Mine's 4 feet 4 feet 3 inches long. Yeah, one that's your own height or even longer is a little bit extreme, I think. Storytelling in anime in general is lackluster. All the characters seem to announce their thoughts out loud. Yeah, there is one good rule about cinematography, if you want to call it that in case of anime. Storytelling in general, show don't tell. And anime does it often the exact other way around. Like quite often, maybe it's Western bias, but I do think quite often if you actually show the audience something, it's more effective and less annoying than if somebody has like a long diatribe of a monologue or inner thoughts or whatever. It's just, let alone narration. I mean, narration can be used effectively, but often it's not. So show don't tell is a good rule of thumb to go by. And yeah, a lot of anime seems to do the opposite. So yeah. Thanks, Mark. Me again. Ready to talk about your original homeland yet? What? Oh, I still don't know what the obsession is. I appreciate the super chat, but I have no idea what the obsession is. It literally doesn't matter. Yeah, anime, 90% exposition, pretty much. You haven't watched enough anime if you think all anime is like that. Fair. I haven't watched that much. But, I've watched some and I've seen plenty of memes about it, so I don't know. It seems to be at least common enough for people to notice it and talk about it, you know what I mean? Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's go back to the static background. Will you ever review knockoff knives? I've reviewed a few in the past, and I don't like it. I don't like knockoffs. Like I think it's a bit scummy and disrespectful to the original designers, Like if it's something that's just inspired, okay, that's a different story. But if it's the exact same thing, even worse if it's a counterfeit, if there's even the name of the original company on it, that's seriously scummy. That is some bullshit. If it's unmarked, like an unmarked copy, bad enough, but it's not quite as scummy. Did you watch He-Man? Which one? Like the original one? One of the two, I think, more recent ones? Or, I mean, the brand new one on Netflix is only announced. It's not out yet, right? I think. I definitely want to watch it, but don't think it's out yet. Doesn't look like it. Wait, am I wrong? There are reviews apparently. So I guess it is out. I'm just not seeing the actual thing. Well, I'll check after the stream. If it's out, I definitely want to watch it. You and Chad need to do a video. I mean, we've done it before. Wait, what? Is there a sword made out of magnet? No. Just a little message from France. You're doing some incredible work. Keep going. You are the best. Thank you. I really love the Can You Catch vid with many good explanations. Yeah, a lot of people like that one. Catching swords. What confused me is that the video about the TVA baton and the fight scene in Loki was basically not watched. It's like it has hardly any views compared to the usual numbers, and I have no idea why. Normally, overanalyzing TV series and movies is super popular, but this one totally flopped. No idea why, but like there's not much sense in overthinking it. All I can do is just, do my best to try to come up with ideas that I think people would like, and do my best to make entertaining words. Do my best to say words. Do my best to make entertaining content, and that's about it. Almost no one cares about Loki. For that, I've seen plenty of videos about it. Like, there are actually a number of people who commented on it. There are a lot of people who have talked about it. It seems pretty popular to me from what I've seen. And I liked it too, so some people hated it, but they're still talking about it, so I don't know, it seems like kind of a big deal. I mean, that could be that people haven't watched it because they haven't caught up yet, that they still need to watch the first season. That's possible. You did a video on Loki. I have notifications and it went over my radar. Yeah, that's the other thing that I figured. It might be algorithm shenanigans again. Your Loki video wasn't recommended, yeah. Well, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. Just bought a new black fencer synthetic longsword, but it came with a slight bend. Any tips on how to fix it? My tip really is more like get used to it, because it's going to be a thing. Like, even if you straighten it out, eventually it's going to develop a set again. They just tend to do that. They just tend to take a set. If it really bothers you, what you can do is gently heat it up with a heat gun on low setting, or maybe even a blow dryer is good enough. Be gentle with it though. You don't want to melt the surface. And then put it between two boards and clamp it, stuff like that, straighten it out. Do folks not check their subscriptions page? I think a lot of people don't. Like, I always check the subscriptions tab, but from what I hear, it seems like a lot of people just hang out on the homepage, which is just recommended tab basically. So I don't know. Thanks, Dickus. Was it intentional that you don't have a message in the super chat? If not, then feel free to post in the regular chat and I'll keep an eye out. But either way, thank you. Very generous. Appreciated. What do you think of Chivalry 2? I don't have an opinion yet. I haven't tried it yet. Thanks, Andrew. So I've been reading the books of the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. Got me wondering, how would you shape your own shard blade, provided it's the kind you can shape at will? I mean, it's probably a boring answer, but I would probably shape it like a longsword. Two-handed sword, possibly. I do like the parrying hooks that you see on two-handed greatswords, so I might include that, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, I might make it fairly wide, since weight is not really an issue here, or not much. I largely ignore the YouTube homepage. I only come to YouTube for channels I subscribe to. Yeah, well, Nayat, that makes you basically the old school crew. That's not, like, YouTube has been, since 2016, basically working hard to change that, to turn it into a clickbaity recommendations fest of bullshit, where they just want to force the algorithms upon us, basically. Like that's kind of the classic way of doing it, to actually go there for things you subscribe for and in fact check your subscriptions. That's not that common anymore, it seems. Unfortunate, but what can you do? Used to donate a lot, but don't have the money right now. Right, I remember you, Barlow, and don't worry about it. No problem at all. I wanted to tell you your content lately has been my favorite of your whole catalog. You're doing so well and looking good. Thanks. Appreciate it. Found with my training swords to fix the bend in it. I left it sitting in a corner, blade up with it leaning, so that it's bending it against a curve. Yeah, that's also a way to do it. That's the simplest one. I refuse to use the home in trending, especially trending. Trending is cancer. Trending is a bunch of random bullshit. Definitely don't want anything to do with that. Let's bring back the reverse script debate. I might actually do a more up-to-date video about that, since my opinion has changed a bit, or developed, or whatever you want to call it. Feels bad to see how a lot of YouTubers use the basic nature of curiosity against us. Unfortunately, YouTube is pretty much forcing them, because the thing is, once a few people start doing it and get a bunch of views, and then the algorithm picks up on that and promotes them even more, it's this downward spiral of everybody else needs to up their clickbait game, otherwise they'll pretty much be pushed out of existence. I've even noticed that myself. Like, I still refuse to go full out clickbait, but I've had to make my thumbnails more eye-catching, because otherwise stuff just goes downhill. So yeah, it sucks. Thanks, Bo Hort. Can't stay for this, but you keep being amazing. Thank you. I'll try. Try uploading a thumbnail with a fake surprised face. Actually, how was that? Someone recently put up a video where he had let AI generate a thumbnail for him, and apparently AI after analyzing a bunch of YouTube thumbnails, has come to the conclusion that gaping mouths are an essential part of thumbnails. That tells you a lot. Very true. And it looked grotesque, but kind of an appropriate representation of how stupid this is. Trending is cancer, but YouTube Kids is a teratoma. I would never touch that with a 10-foot pole. I don't even know what... I didn't even know that was a thing. Sounds horrible. Why is it called a thumbnail? Good question. Because it's a smaller picture? Thumbnail size? I don't know. Thanks, Vodka Lover 420. The poleaxe is the best weapon ever designed. You cannot refute this. It is impossible. Also, hello, Skull. Hope you're doing well. Oh, thanks, and same to you. I mean, polearms are hard to compare to one another. Like, how do you decide which one is the best? Halberds are great too, so, you know. I hate why fake and obviously exaggerated and obnoxious reaction channels literally gain millions of views on the daily. Yeah, I know. That's why they do it. That's exactly why they do it. It's gross. Thanks, Christian and Crippled Kitty. That's a sad username. So glad the chat introduced me to your content. You've got awesome stuff on here, Scal. Thanks. Love your content. Keep up the good work. Long-time follower, first-time donator. Well, I appreciate it. Glad to have you around. What exactly is the Great Sword of War? It's a type of longsword, basically. Oftentimes they are basically hand-and-a-half swords, but sometimes you have longer ones as well. It's just a specific type that was used in the 13th and 14th century primarily. Like, it really depends on where you want to draw the line. How do you want to distinguish things? I would argue a Great Sword of War is a longsword, plain and simple. But if you want to, distinguish certain types of longsword and, keep the Great Sword of War as a separate category, it's confusing because Great Sword of War is different from what people like to call Great Sword, which is a large two-handed sword. The Great Sword of War is used with two hands as well, but the, quote-unquote true two-handed sword is larger. So it's a bit confusing and also artificial. It's an artificial categorization, basically. You should make an RPG game? Oh, too bad I have no clue about game design, so I can't make a game. What is a good sword to buy for a beginner collector? Whatever you like, but I'll refer you to the videos I made about that. Which sword should I buy, or which sword should you buy? I think that's a formulation. If you look that up, you'll find a bunch of videos on the topic, with a bunch of recommendations, specific recommendations for reproductions and all that. Pretty sure thumbnails will carry over from RL photography and contact sheets. That photos used to show all of... Wait. Oh, yeah. Right. On a roll of film, each picture is probably about the size of a thumbnail. Yeah, that makes sense. S-Talks, how useful and used were they historically? They weren't super common, but watch my video about it. I made a video about S-Talks specifically. Either S-Talks or thrusting swords in general. But I'm pretty sure I did one covering those. What do you make of Jason Kingsley's massive Uber falchion? No idea what you're talking about. Yeah, I can't find any pictures either. So I don't know what you're talking about, unfortunately. Thanks, Kay. How epic would a fighting game featuring YouTube weapons tubers be? Random thought, but love the content. Keep it going. It would be funny. Kind of weird, but funny. Thanks, Chaos Omega. I saw a weird forearm shield slash man catcher combo on Amazon. It had a neck-sized cutout lined with metal teeth. Looked kind of tactical, but possibly effective. Opinions? I mean, the man catcher is not a weapon. It's really more of a what would you call that? Compliance tool. Basically, arrest slash kidnapping tool. Combining that with a shield, I don't really see the point, particularly since you want a man catcher to be at the end of a pole, so you have the leverage. So, yeah, sounds silly to me. Whoa, thank you, Frank Knox. That's very generous. Pole axes are the best on the medieval battlefield. Anywhere else, and they kind of fall apart. I wouldn't agree with that, actually, because there are plenty of manuscripts covering the use of the poleaxe in a judicial duel, so one-on-one, in full armor. So, no, they're definitely useful outside of the battlefield as well. Oh, I should have continued reading. I did the typical YouTube commenter mistake. In this case, read it all before you comment instead of watch it before you comment. Anyway, granted, they would work in a duel, but for carrying around on a daily basis, then they become more of an inconvenience, especially in close encounters. Yeah, of course, yes. For civilian self-defense, it's not exactly an option. So, Schola Gladiatoria would just deflect all attacks with context in that game. You should just have a shield saying context. Or just a big C, on it. Thanks again, Vodka Lover. What do you think of arming and or long swords being used during the colonial era, 18th century? Do you think they'd be worse, better, or would they be just as effective? I've had this thought for a while. I mean, a long sword against a single-handed saber would dominate. I have a feeling people would probably look at it as something barbarically archaic, so you wouldn't really get status points, and of course status, prestige, honor was all they were about, so that ain't great. But yeah, I mean, most of the time you're dealing with firearms anyway, or a bayonet at the end of a musket. So, you ever watch Deadliest Warrior? Yeah, I like the show, but I know it's not very realistic. Yeah, I particularly dislike the fake drama. It was just so sensationalist. They were always getting into fights and just ego battles of, oh yeah, my faction is the coolest and you suck, and it was just lame. It's just annoying. For the modern battlefield, I wonder if having a sword versus a combat knife would be beneficial. No. It's too cumbersome. They already carry a lot around, and it in most situations you're not gonna use it anyway. And when it gets that close quarters, then the knife is actually more useful. Like basically, 90% of the time you use a rifle. Occasionally, in rare situations, you have to draw the sidearm and use it. If you can't use a pistol, you're most likely in a grappling situation, basically, where you need the knife. So it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Deadliest Warrior follows the formula of the nation closest in relation to America wins. Kinda. Good old America propaganda. I mean, it was overall, it seemed very biased and, yeah, sensationalist, like I said. Now, for entertainment, that's fine. Just don't expect like real education, or whatever education you get, take it with a grain of salt, or an entire sack of salt. How do you feel about Chad continuously calling Mort Howe half sorting instead? I used to make that mistake too, but yeah, it is. Yeah, no. I was gonna say you could argue that it's somewhat accurate. No, not really, because you're not actually. Half sorting means you're gripping the sword with one hand in the center of the blade, and the other hand is on the on the handle. If you're gripping both the blade with both hands, it's really not half sorting. So, yeah. Thanks, Chaos Omega, for the man catcher / shield. I think the idea is to protect yourself while you try to pin their arm against a wall or to the ground. Pure law enforcement tool, apparently. Yeah, but it makes a lot more sense to do it with two people, because that was how the man catcher was used historically. One person would use the man catcher, with the long pole, and the other person would, move in, and once the person's on the ground, restrain them. Tie them up or handcuff them or whatever. So I don't know. I think it does make more sense to use it with two hands, especially considering that way you can compensate better for any difference in weight. Like if the guy you're trying to restrain is bigger and stronger than you are, you might need both hands at the end of a pole. So, yeah. Could an unarmed person beat a swordsman by not letting them draw it? If they can manage, yes. Like if you can get the jump on a swordsman and grapple with him before he has a chance to draw it and grapple him to the ground, if you're better at grappling and stronger, then sure. Do you carry a knife with you when you go out? Unfortunately, I can't carry a knife where I live, but I do have a box cutter on me since I open packages a lot. I tend to, like for one on my keychain, I have, which one was it? There was a Spyderco bug set, and they had different names, the different sizes. It was the bug, the cricket or whatever. Basically, the smallest one of those. Like it's this teeny tiny little folding knife that literally nobody can complain about. But that's in most situations I found that's all I need, as far as an everyday tool is concerned. And I also tend to have a Leatherman with me, which also has a knife. Sometimes, if I think I might need it, I might bring a larger folding knife as well. But you tend to be better off with something inconspicuous in Canada, Ladybug, yes, thank you. That's the one. Spyderco Ladybug. Oh, hey, Wyatt. Haven't seen you in a long time. How are you doing? Glad to see our How to Deal with a Flashy Swordsman is doing so well. I really enjoyed those days sparring and not really knowing what the hell we were doing. Yeah, um, it was a fun time. I do have to agree. Like, I'm glad that I've um, developed since then and know more about the topic and, et cetera, et cetera. But it was fun times, for sure. And the funniest scenes, the funniest moments in sparring that I can still find are from that time. We had some crazy stuff. So yeah, that was definitely fun. Thanks, Mirochi. Apologies if my question is out of your knowledge. Is it realistic slash historical to fire multiple arrows in one draw? Well, I'm not an archer, so I'm not really the right person to ask. I've never seen it done in a historical context. It seems not the most practical, but I can't tell you for sure. You'd have to ask, I don't know, New Sensei is probably the right kind of guy for that archery channel. I I've never seen any reference to that being used on the battlefield or in a siege or anything like that. I think that's fantasy. That's my guess. Um, Any weapon on your wish list? Not currently. I have too much stuff. I don't even. Plus, I can't test anything currently, so reviews are still on ice for a while. How do you feel about Chad's nunchuck dissing crusade? It's a little excessive. I feel like I've just recently noticed that he made what 3 videos about it in short succession, or was it even 4? I think 3 at least. So I don't know. That's seems like a bit much, but hey, whatever. It's his channel. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Shad disses a lot of things, and that's okay. Yeah, that's fair. Sometimes, I mean, I used to do that more, in the earlier days of the channel. I've kind of mellowed out a bit since then. The time slowing setting on the TVA batons was way more interesting than a setting that sends you to the end of time. Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, sure, you can argue the teleportation thing is more useful because that way when you touch somebody they're immediately gone, like the threat is gone, whereas if you slow them down you still have to deal with them, right? But I feel like it's still more versatile because then you can capture or subdue someone if you need to, or you can take them out in a non-lethal way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He since admitted to it being mostly trolling. Oh, yes? Shame. Mm-hmm. I feel like nunchucks was a compliance weapon, not a combat weapon, like a whip. So placing it in that category is unfair. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I advise you read them. It'll be the best fantasy novel you've read. Huh? What? Read what? Um, Disclaimer: the stuff on nunchucks after the 3rd video was trolling. Okay. Yeah. That's. I was thinking, was it 3 or 4? I think it was even more than 3. Anyway, yeah, seems a little bit much. I just don't really have strong feelings about it one way or another. Like, I don't. I definitely don't think that a stick is better than nunchucks. That I definitely disagree with. But yeah, overall, I don't really care enough. Could be just a flex weapon. I mean, it is a flex weapon. It is flexible after all. Look how I cannot bash my own head in with these. Yeah, I mean, sure, it requires a little bit more specialized training, for sure. I mean, at the same time, not as much really. Essentially, if you take 10 minutes to consider the dynamics of this weapon and play around a little bit with how it moves, you can figure out how to not hit yourself. You know, particularly like just the way I described with the video or in the video about flails, follow through. Like you don't just stop here because then it just bounces back. If you follow through, then it's not gonna bounce back and hit you. And you know, as long as you don't, twirl it like an idiot, behind your back and hit yourself in the back of the head. Like as long as you're not being too fancy with it, it's not actually that big of a deal, I would argue. Have you tested the Gladiator pitchfork? How practical is it? I can't say I have. So I don't know. I mean, within the context of gladiatorial combat in the arena that was first and foremost supposed to look good, yeah, sure. The argument is that nunchucks are just a disabled stick. Yeah, that's where I disagree. Nunchucks are basically a more more concealable, easier to carry stick. That's really the thing. And yeah, but nunchucks go around shields easier. Depends on how close you are. But if you're close enough to hit the shield with the chain, then yes, it would go over. Otherwise, of course, it wouldn't. So you would have to be very, very close for that. But then again, considering that nunchucks don't have tremendous reach anyway, that's a good question. Weirdest sponsor you were offered? There were definitely some weird things over time. Um, try to think of the weirdest. There was some random shit that just didn't fit on the channel at all. Like trying to remember. Of course, the first thing is always crappy mobile games. But what else? There was one thing recently. What was it again? Was it electronics? You'd think I'd remember because it was weird, but my shitty memory. Let's see. Can I remember what it was? I think like a clothing shop, but nothing cool. Just like random generic clothing and there was one weird thing that I'm trying to remember, and it's kind of on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite recall. What the hell was it? It was something super random. I mean, one random thing was those snack boxes. I forgot what that particular one was called, but those boxes full of treats from particular countries that you get sent. They were definitely weirder things. Yeah, Manscaped is kind of weird, but at least has to do with a beard. I don't know. Then again, it's not really related because it's not beard care product. So Yeah, I was offered that too and declined it. So there's a lot of random shit that I was offered and just declined because fuck it. It has nothing to do with the channel, and I don't want to overburden you guys with stupid ads. So yeah, like basically 80% of what I get offered, I just decline. Just politely tell them to fuck off, basically, or just don't reply. Are you playing instruments? Nope. If not, what's one you'd be interested in? Um, I actually kind of like harps. Sort of random, but yeah. What do you think about Kingdom Come Deliverance? I've made a video about that, so I would recommend you check that out. Bardcore, yes. Indeed. I don't mind personally if it helps you put food on the table, then I'm good with it. Yeah, but I mind. I have standards. Like there was a time when out of necessity I had to accept some sponsorships that I wasn't too keen on. You know, the adpocalypse and all that when the ad revenue was totally in the toilet. But yeah, if I don't absolutely have to, I will tell them to bother someone else, basically. Do you listen to black metal or Viking metal? Nope. I used to listen to Tyrfing and Einherjar, which was in the early 2000s. But I generally prefer metal with actual lyrics. I mean, that's a bit mean, but I prefer actual singing over, over screaming and just growling. Like, I can definitely dig some combinations of, like, for example, sometimes you have like a male growler and a female melodic vocalist. They can work together pretty well. But if it's just a blah, just the throat cancer stuff, then it's not for me. Do you think you'd like to play Chivalry 2? I think I've had my fill with the first one. I don't know if I can get into that again. It looks very similar to the first one, so I don't know. Nightwish, yes or no? Yes. I mean, I haven't listened to Nightwish in a long time, but used to. It's all about the synth wave again, you guys. Can't imagine how humble I am. What? Okay. I have no idea what you were trying to say, but all right. I think Skill's going to avoid the what is HEMA debate, or he's waiting to make a good video on the topic. The what is HEMA debate, is that a thing? I may be out of the loop because, like, on an everyday basis, I'm just kind of concerned with or just focused on cranking out content, which is, yeah, lately it's been a little tough. you get upset when movies/games come out that look like they haven't got any advice from people that know about melee fights? No. Why would I get upset? Like, there's no requirement for anyone to do that. So, yeah. You missed how humble I am comment? Oh, is that a username with that? I have no idea what's going on. Your video on elitism and HEMA started the what is HEMA debate. It did? Okay. I'm out of the loop. I'm not up to date, apparently. Well, hopefully it's a productive debate. Let's put it that way. You know, sparking debates, as long as they're productive, is a good thing. So, why not? Do you ever do any weight training? Yes, that's how I fucked up my other shoulder. Remember, the right shoulder got messed up from getting hit by a car, and then I fucked up the left one from benching. Yay. I feel like with a lot of games that come out, I have no issue with them not being realistic as long as it's fun to play. Yeah, exactly. If it looks super ridiculous but it's super satisfying, I'm content. Yeah, same thing. Same thing here. Like Monster Hunter, hey, it's not supposed to be realistic. A lot of games aren't supposed to be, and they're... In fact, if every game was realistic, that would be pretty boring. Hardly productive, but certainly entertaining debate. Okay. That, I don't know, it doesn't sound too good. Yeah, for some reason, I haven't seen a single video pop up on that topic, so I don't know who was even involved in the debate. I have no idea. I'm totally let's see. Okay, looks like Shad talked about it. Matt, of course. All right. That's about all I'm seeing. There's one from Blood and Iron that's 5 years old, so that's obviously unrelated. So I'm just seeing two. Yeah, I don't know. Back to the chat. Oh man, I don't know what I did, but I seem to have kind of pulled something on the left side of my neck. Randomly, I don't even know. I think this is one of those, you know, as you approach your 40s kind of deals, you know? Like, how do you hurt yourself when you're a kid? You know, I don't know, jump out of a tree or do something ridiculous, crazy. How do you hurt yourself when you're in your 30s and 40s? You slept the wrong way. You stood up too quickly. You, yeah, this is, oh boy. Anyway, enough of this old cranky old man shit. Okay, so Shad responded to Matt's response to me. All right. You pick up a book wrong. Sounds about right. I've literally taken a wrong step and injured my ankle. Yeah, that. The one time where we were out hiking, I did one bad step, apparently, kind of a little bit twisted, and I just flared up the entire knee injury again. You know, the thing that happened in 2015? No, early 2016. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Turn 50, hurt yourself looking over your shoulder. I am not looking forward to that. I mean, considering how bad it already is, I'm like, what's it gonna be in the 60s? Like, you cuff the wrong way and you break a rib, or what the fuck is going on? Anyway. Old age. Damn kids. Oh, you probably now just sent me music. Yeah, I was just gonna say I forgot that the desktop audio is on, so I was probably blasting you with that pretty loud. Sorry about that, guys. Our meat carcasses are so weak and feeble. Yeah, some more so than others. I was gonna say, you know, then there are power lifters, but then again, those fuckers injure themselves more often than anyone. Like, there's not a single fitness channel on YouTube that I've seen where there's not a bunch of videos. You know, I injured my back, or I tore my pec, or I I tore my bicep, or I did this and that and the other, and it's just, yeah. Fun times. Do you ever consider doing HEMA instruction in Nova Scotia? It doesn't seem to be much like that here, especially near Halifax. I mean, there is SPADA in Halifax. I unfortunately have no time at all. Like, with the way it is right now, I don't even have time to practice myself, let alone instruct. So, yeah. Whenever there's a weird random dip in views, my response is usually, okay, I gotta put more effort into it. I gotta increase the production quality. Usually that doesn't really help because there are random fluctuations being random, but that's the only thing I can do. So that's what my mind focuses on, and then I just crank it up, and then I have less and less time. And so yeah, the past 2 weeks have been insane. Ooh. Don't bump the mic. Does height matter in a duel? Yes. More height means more reach. You know, it's basically the same effect as a longer weapon. However, shorter people can be quite good at grappling. So it's difficult for them to, you know, move into your effective reach and past it, basically. But once they do, are you working a lot at something except videos? No, it's just videos. It's a ton of work because I'm doing everything myself. So, you know, research and recording and editing and, you know, traveling to and from locations to record, etc., etc. Are you into cyberpunk? Somewhat. I tend to prefer steampunk, but cyberpunk isn't. I mean, I used to be more into cyberpunk. I think these days it seems to be a little too close to home, you know? Like, we seem to be kind of on the path toward cyberpunk dystopia, except without the cool tech, or at least that type of cool tech. But yeah, the whole corporate dystopia, yeah, kind of. Same thing with any apocalyptic settings in games and movies. I don't really care for that anymore because it seems like that's where we're headed. So I'm like, eh. can we uh, can we have something a little more positive? I don't know. Where are my robo waifus? I mean, they've come pretty far with that, haven't they? Like sometimes you see something pop up in the news of like hyper realistic sex robot, blah this and blah that, but they tend to cost like I don't know 20,000 or however much, a lot. So just not within reach for most people, especially not you know the kind of person who stereotypically obsesses over waifus. Thanks, Mirochi. I think steampunk is more optimistic than cyber. Yes, it is. It's actually funny, like, considering that it's basically like it's based on industrial revolution, but it tends. I was gonna say it tends to be more positive. Depends a little bit. Like there are different versions. Like there are certainly darker, more dystopian versions of steampunk that show all the pollution and resource exploitation, etc., etc. But then there are others that are much more positive, where they it is a form of sci-fi that just has a Victorian flavor to it, if you will. Like it's Victorian in aesthetic, but it's actually kind of what's the word? Yeah, I don't know. Word escapes me. A little bit more harmonious with nature, I guess. Although it's probably more that they kind of gloss over the fact that it's based on, burning massive quantities of coal and wood and everything. I don't know. There's also solar punk, which is actually the positive, green, high tech kind of deal. Dishonored is steampunk dystopia. No, actually, it's diesel punk. That's different. It's the following era. Diesel punk, I'm not really a fan of. Star Trek is more my sci-fi niche. Dystopian sci-fi takes the wonder and the fun out of enjoying the story. Yeah. I'm still waiting for more Orville, another season. That's actually really good. Like at first, when I found out about it and started watching it, it kind of felt like a discount Star Trek, but it actually captures the spirit of Star Trek better than most recent Star Trek movies, and series, especially Discovery. I tried, but no, fuck that. Does it affect training if you use a different material on your weapons to spar? Example: steel training sword versus wooden training sword. Yeah, they act differently. Particularly if you want to practice binding and winding, wooden swords are pretty bad for that. Synthetic as well. Like certain technique or generally technique drills you're better off doing with steel if you can. But if budget constraints are an issue, then sometimes you gotta use what you have, right? So, but in an ideal world, you would stick to steel, blunt steel trainers for practice and sparring, and sharp ones for cutting practice. We need a list of all the punks out there. There, there are lists. Pretty sure there are lists. I don't even know what else. The only ones I can think of are cyberpunk, steampunk, diesel punk, and solar punk. I don't know. What else is there? Cyberpunk derivatives. Oh, I totally forgot Atom Punk. Yes. Atom Punk. I've never heard of Biopunk or Nanopunk. Robocop Punk. Wow, that's specific. Lunar Punk? Myth Punk? The fuck? Okay. I have no idea. Lately, we've been watching Doom Patrol, the TV show, which is amazing, by the way. And I feel like sometimes my immediate reaction is kind of Cliff style, because he constantly, when something weird happens, he constantly goes, "What the fuck?" Except he doesn't have facial expressions, of course, being a robot and all. But yeah. I actually like to see a more down to earth character in there that just reacts to all this bizarre stuff that's going on exactly like a normal person would. The fuck? Entropy punk? Okay. What are your thoughts on post-apocalyptic settings if they're at the point when they're beginning to rebuild and starting the slow climb back up rather than on the way down? Better? Yeah, and that's not done as much, is it? Sometimes you see it, but it's not as common. What do you think is the most durable metal for blunt swords? Are you ready? This is going to come as a shock. It's going to come as a huge surprise. Are you ready? Steel. Crazy, right? Punk. Yeah, just original punk, 90s punk, right? Well, 80s too. Why did I say 90s? Punk is really arguably more of an 80s thing. Still there in the 90s, but really more of an 80s thing. And 70s, of course. Would a titanium alloy technically be stronger? No. The thing is, what people misunderstand about titanium alloy is that they think that it's dramatically better, but the thing is, it's stronger than steel per weight. Like, it's lighter, but it doesn't mean it's superior to steel. It's used, because it's used for applications where you want to save as much weight as possible, like airplanes. But it's really not, like, if you made a blade out of it, it would suck, from what I understand. I have a titanium knife and it sucks. It dulls after 2 minutes of use. Yeah, that's also what I've heard / read, that edge retention would be garbage. I meant a type of steel. Well, you might have wanted to say that because you said metal or material or something like that. If you just had said which type of steel, then I would have given you a more serious answer. Typically, I think a lot of the practice sorts that I've seen are like 1050 or 1060. Like, I'm wondering if 1095 is too hard. I figure it probably is. Considering that for practice sort, edge retention is not an issue, of course. You do want it to be reasonably hard so that it doesn't deform easily, but not too hard, because you don't want to risk breaking it, because that can be very dangerous. If a blade breaks during sparring, it's not good. 51 CRV4, that's a European steel. I'm not really sure what the equivalent is. Oh yeah, Ensifer. What are they using, actually? Doesn't say. Okay. I haven't done full reviews of a lot of practice ones, so I'm not as up to date with what steels are most commonly used. Let's see. No, not there. Yeah, my guess would be probably 1075. I mean, basically, the spring steels are generally a good idea. 5160, 6150, you can't go wrong with those. If we're talking carbon steels, it's a good question. I mean, depends on the tempering. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to make it easy, and I'm just going to say 5160. You really can't go wrong with that. Picked up a CS 1917 Frontier buoy. Really like it. Want to pair it with a CS one-handed messer for the non-historical giggles. Yeah, sure, why not? Sounds fun. Just want to say thank you for your mental health videos as well as your informative videos. Both help me personally. Glad to know. It's a video of an international medieval sparring event, and one of the shots is of a dude in an American flag tabard, plate armor, and cowboy hat, drinking a Bud Light. America. Indeed. KOA has the new TFA Panabas, by the way. It's about time. It took them a long time to update. I mean, traditional Filipino weapons, not necessarily Kult of Athena. Because I haven't seen it on the TFA website either. Or didn't for a long time, at least. What else we got? What is your opinion on a curved hilt? I like it in some types of weapons, you know, like the willow leaf dull. It's pretty good, but overall, I'm not really the biggest fan of it, I have to say. I do prefer straight handles, simply because they're more versatile. You can do more with them, so... Legit, your content is entertaining and therapeutic. Entertaining is what I'm going for. That's what I was hoping to do. Therapeutic is a nice side benefit. For sure. C300. I have never seen anything about that type of steel, I have to say. Do you like onigiri? Let me look that up real quick. I'm not actually sure what that is. Oh, those Japanese rice balls. I think I've had them once. They seem to be kind of rare. Like here, for example, there's really no restaurant that I'm aware of that has them for some reason. So yeah, I think from what I remember, the ones that I've had I liked, but it's been a while. Have you heard about the quality issues that Condor's having with their products? And if you have, what do you think about it? No, I haven't. They have quality issues? I don't know. Oh, you make them yourself? Neat. Right. Now that you say we ever review more TFW products, while I read the other guy's comment that was like TFA, like so in the back of my mind it was like TFA. That doesn't sound right, but I didn't know what to. Yeah, it's TFW. Probably will eventually. I mean, maybe. I don't have any plans currently, but As said, reviews are still on ice because I still don't have a location for blade tests, and we're way delayed. Our plans to move into we were actually planning to move into the new house, basically in a week or two, but that was completely destroyed. Those plans, massive delays. So now we're looking at another 5 months, probably. Yay! I'm so sick of this fucking apartment, but what can you do? Time fuckery authority. I like that. The TFA. Time fuckery. Yeah, it is insane. Absolutely ridiculous material shortages. You know, lumber is just crazy right now. Also, shortage of workers. So, yeah. Did you have a house in the woods? In the woods once? Yes. Yes, we did, and it was a complete disaster. That's why we had to get out of it after a year, because it was eating us alive with costs. That was one of those cases of completely inexperienced and, you know, didn't see all the issues. To be fair, the home inspector didn't either. So yeah, we were screwed over on that. Are you moving to the city then? Well, we are currently in the city. That happened a while ago. We had to move back into a stupid apartment in the city. So now we're trying to, you know, get into a better house, but that's still being built, and delays, delays, delays. Sucks. Anyway. The super chat dynamics are fun today, like weird. Like there were a lot coming in the beginning and then just stopped. Kind of funny. Automatic grenade launcher martial arts. Yes, we need that. A glum. Can't you sue the inspector for negligence? No. It was not a case of negligence. It was a case of there was just a lot of hidden shit that you couldn't really see, or that wouldn't really become apparent until you've been there for a while. Like, it's not something that you could sue either the previous owner or the inspector over, I think. Either way, it would be too much hassle, quite frankly. So we just cut our losses and got the hell out of there, and it is what it is. Thanks, Kay. What bear is best? Did you mean gear, or did you mean actually bears? In that case, I guess brown bear? They're bigger than black bears? I don't know. Thanks, Chaos Omega. One more. Thanks. M1 Garand is the best all-around weapon, yes or no? No. The pling is very satisfying, but it's like, come on, you cannot compare an M1 Garand to one of the many options you have nowadays, you know? Thanks, Nayod. Cat sticker, huh? I haven't seen that one before. It's usually just weird pears and limes and stuff. No, he meant pear. It's an Office reference. As in Microsoft Office or as in the Office? I'm assuming the latter. That was Dwight from the Office reference. Bears, Beads, Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, I have no idea. I've never watched it, so. But thank you. I think nuke is probably best all-around weapon. No, not really, because it's pretty shitty that, like, if you want to actually take over territory, it's not great to nuke it first, you know? Unless you're very patient and just want to do it in, I don't know how many decades. Certainly not a precision weapon, no. I mean, if you had like a mini nuke, I don't know. Tactical mini nukes. Maybe you can do that. Dipika, Greek, Xiphos, one with wood handle, looks historical, salvageable as a semi-functional weapon. Maybe. I'm just very skeptical about Dipika considering their track record, you know? Right, I still haven't gotten around to trying out the new character in Hellish Court. Just been drowning in work lately. So eventually. Rather than a slot for the switch axe, so what about a semicircular fuller with a ball bearing locking mechanism? You only need a hole through at the ends. That would probably be a better way to do it, if it's secure enough. Like what I would be worried about is like, is it going to be rattly? Is it going to be shifting around? I don't know. Mini nuke was a real thing. It was called the Davy Crockett. Oh, okay. I haven't actually heard about that. Thanks, Scales Omega. If there were no laws against it, would you carry a sword on a daily basis? No, I definitely wouldn't. I don't see the need, and it would be inconvenient. So, no. I don't think so. Okay, you need at least 7 wins in survival mode. Yeah, that's not that hard. Nintendo is gonna break and enter your house for the Switch X. Well, no, they're just gonna do a cease and desist, and you know, you can't use the word Switch. It's ours. It's such a shame that Nintendo is so anal about, you know, just cracking down on everything and everyone. Like, come on, that gamers were giving you basically free advertisement, and you're just gonna pull that shit. Anyway, thanks, Kay. Actually, open carry swords is totally fine here in Texas. Crazy ass state. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard things about Texas. Never been there, so I don't know how much of that is accurate, but yeah. I mean, in a state where you can, what is it? I think there's open carry in Texas, right? Um, I know the different states, some allow carry, some don't. But in some states, it's concealed carry only. In some, you can do open carry. I think Texas has open carry, if I remember correctly. But either way, like if people are going to be carrying firearms, then the sword is, yeah, I don't know. Maybe not ideal. As a Texan, I can confirm that we basically live in the Mad Max universe. All right. You mean you don't need an assault rifle to go grocery shopping? Yeah, if you do, then you probably want to move. It's probably a rough spot there. Tough neighborhood. Have you owned a butterfly knife before? Yes, in the 90s, before they were banned. A long ass time ago. Thoughts on them? Plausible fun or plausible tool or a fun novelty toy? I'm leaning more toward the latter. I mean, the thing is, it's actually one of the strongest locks you can have. I mean, once you've opened it up, you're holding it closed with your hand. Like, it's one of the strongest folding knives you can have in that sense. It's not the quickest deploying, although depending on how you're doing it. Like I remember one move where you take a hold of the latch basically and you swing it out so that you flick it into an ice pick grip position, and that's fast, but yeah. I do see them more as a novelty thing than a pragmatic tool personally, but I said I also haven't used them since the 90s, so there's that. That's why I'm moving out of Chicago. I feel a genuine need to carry my sick P365 when going to the grocery store. Crime is up a lot and everywhere, and PD response times at times are way low. Hmm. Yeah, I've heard about Chicago being kind of rough. I mean, not as bad as Detroit, from what I've heard, but yeah. Like if you actually feel the need to carry a firearm for protection, not a good sign. I mean, I think it should be legal. Like in Canada, I wish. Like, I'm okay with mandatory training and this and that. That's fine, but there should at least be a legal option for acquiring a carry permit. Yeah, just in my opinion. It's a scary reality that Topeka has a monopoly on ancient weapons at an affordable price. It's true. Sad but true. Watching the Summer Olympics? No. I've never really cared about watching sports. I'd much rather carry pepper spray than a knife for self-defense. You can definitely make some arguments in favor of that, yes. Knives for self-defense are really not great in a lot of ways. Screw sports where you can't hit people. Well, I mean, I guess hockey is for you. I mean, watch the combat sports of the Olympics: wrestling, boxing, judo, TKD. Yeah, I don't really watch that either. It may, if I had the time, would I? Probably not really. It's just not that interesting to me. Self defense and combat are two different things. Yes, that is true. Do you still have your Bond arms? The Derringer? No, I haven't had that in years. Like 4 years at least. Would you watch HEMA in Olympics if it became an Olympic sport? Where it's hard. If it became an Olympic sport, probably not, because I have a feeling it will probably be skewed in an unfortunate direction. Because the thing is, if you make an Olympic discipline, it's going to be all about the meta game, basically. Like people are going to be training to win regimented competitions. It's going to be more removed from the historical reality of armed combat, which is, I mean, it's not a problem as such, but I think it would annoy me to see, okay, yeah, you're gaming for points. We already see this in HEMA tournaments. That's the thing. Like, we already see tendencies for people to do stuff like, I don't know, accept an afterblow if they know that they're going to score 3 points, like in a hit to the head to the opponent's head, and they're going to receive an afterblow, so that's -1. They're still scoring 2 points. So in tournament thinking mode, that's great. That's 2 points for you. In real life, you're still probably dead or maimed or whatever. So, and that would most likely happen more in the Olympics. So, not really excited about the idea, personally. Olympic sport means a lot of standards and regulations, yes, and a lot of doping probably too. Do you ever watch fencing matches or Olympic fencing? I've watched it a few times, yes. And like the athleticism involved is definitely impressive. I respect that. I respect the athleticism and the speed and the precision. But the way they fight, doesn't really, like, if you gave those people rapiers and let them fight, it wouldn't go that well. They would probably run each other through. Anyway, there's still Still plenty of day left, so gotta get some more things done. So I'll just wrap it up here. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you had fun. Thanks for the super chats, and I'll see you next time.